Let's talk about decision fatigue, procrastination, how to interact, how we can overcome them, and how the tool that might just make all the difference is goal setting. So let's dive right in. I'm Susanna from Smart Pick Marketing, and thanks so much for joining me today. There's a companion blog post that goes along with this video. I'll leave the link for that in the description below. So there's a common and really a twin problem that a lot of content creators like us face, and that is decision fatigue and procrastination. And both of them sort of have the root in the same place, in overwhelm. If we are asked to make too many decisions in any given day, we get overwhelmed, we shut down, we procrastinate. When we procrastinate, we kind of put off making those decisions. They end up piling up for later in the day, the next week, and kind of making the decision fatigue worse down the road. So it's really this vicious cycle that continues to feed itself of decision fatigue leading to procrastination, procrastination leading to decision fatigue, and so on. You can see how that can be a problem, and you probably experienced this for yourself. So what do we do? The solution is actually quite simple, but not always easy, and not something everybody does, but it's goal setting. It's figuring out what you really want to do, what you should get done, what your next steps are, what your milestones are, and putting those in writing. So before we dive into how we can use goal settings and how we can use a particular type of goal setting to make this happen, to break that cycle, let's dig a little bit deeper into what causes decision fatigue and procrastination. I've already talked a little bit about that. It's having to make too many decisions. But really what it is overwhelm and mental exhaustion. So often we talk about time management, but what we don't consider as much, and I think it would be worth creating another video around, let me know if you agree, and that is energy management. There's only so much mental energy that we can expend in a given day before we shut down, before we start to do nothing but play around on our phones to procrastinate. I'm certainly guilty of this myself. So let's talk about goal setting, the importance of it, and how it plays into this whole idea, and how it might just be the tool that you need to break this cycle of decision fatigue and procrastination. So a couple of reasons why goals are so great here and why they are so important. The first is goals give you clarity and focus. So often we kind of get stuck in this cycle of I should be doing this or that or this. Have I posted on Instagram today? Have I done my TikTok? I really should look into improving my email marketing funnel. Do I need a fresh lead magnet? Is it time to add or revise or improve my latest product, or should I start adding some services? Are there affiliates I need to reach out to? What other piece of content can I create? Is there a new platform I should be checking out? The list goes on and on and on. And I don't know about you, but I often find myself in this cycle where I start to sort of spiral. And what helps me, and I hope it will help you as well, is to sit down and think about, what are my goals? What are my goals for this week? What are my goals for this month, for this quarter, for this year? Sometimes it can even help to think about, where do I want to be 5 years, 10 years from now? Kind of working backwards from there to figure out, what are my top priorities? Because that's really what it boils down to. Once you have your goals, once you've set your goals, you have the clarity and the focus to figure out what your priorities are, and then you can work on those and procrastinate on everything else. The second reason goals are great is because they give you motivation. Once you have that goal, no matter what it be, so for an example, let's use something that we'll use a little further down in the video. Tracy and I want to grow this Smart Pick Marketing YouTube channel. So we would like to add another 500 subscribers to the channel. So that is a great goal. It can be motivating because every day as we see a few more people subscribe to the channel, it will provide the motivation to keep us going because we can see the progress that we're making. Which, by the way, if you're enjoying this content and if you're ready to join us on this ride, please hit the like on this video and subscribe to the channel. You'd make my day and motivate me to keep going. So what kind of goal could you set, and how are you going to track your progress towards that goal, and how will that motivate you? How can you use that to draw more energy to keep going and to continue to work towards your goals? Goals are also great about reducing overwhelm. And remember, we talked about how decision fatigue and procrastination are very closely tied to overwhelm. The way this works is once you have your goal, you have something that you can break down into milestones. So if gaining 500, 1,000, 5,000 subscribers to my YouTube channel seems very overwhelming right now, I can break it down and just focus on the next 100, on the next 10 subscribers. See if maybe this video will get us there. By breaking it down, we can cut down the overwhelm. The next way goals can help us is time management, and energy management plays in here as well. And it does it simply because it helps you prioritize. Where should you be spending your energy? You know, this morning as I was sitting down to do my work for the day for Smart Pick Marketing, I was feeling a little overwhelmed because we have a lot of projects going on. So I sat down and I got clear on my goals, on the one goal that I want to focus on over the rest of the summer, and that is to grow our reach, to grow our audience. And that made it very clear that my top priority for today is to sit here and talk to you about overwhelm, procrastination, and goal setting. The next way goals help you is because they give you some structure, and with that comes something else that can help with decision fatigue, and that is routine. So one of the goals is to get a new video out to you here on YouTube every single week. We also would like to add a few YouTube shorts and some TikToks and some Instagram posts. So by having this goal and really getting very clear and specific on exactly what this goal entails and how we want to grow our audience, it gives me a structure. You know, in this case, the structure is the blog post, the YouTube video, and then the various social media posts. Once I have that structure, because it is something I want to do every single week, I can start working on a routine where, for example, on Mondays, I write my script and I write a blog post that accompanies this video. On Tuesdays, I sit down and I record and I edit. On Wednesday, the video goes out, and the rest of the week I can focus on batch recording and batch creating the social media content that kind of accompanies and supports these blog posts. So can you see how if once I have that structure and framework in place, I can then start working on routines that help guide me through the week, and I don't have to sit here every single day, every single morning trying to figure out what I want to do. I have it all structured out, and that eliminates quite a few decisions that I would otherwise be making during my workday. And then last but not least, goal setting is great because it helps boost your confidence. Every time you take off an item off your list, every time you reach a milestone, and definitely every time you reach a goal, like gaining those 500 extra subscribers, like getting that new product out, like making your first 10,000 month in sales, that kind of thing. Every time you reach a goal, it boosts your confidence, and that will then give you energy to keep going. So we've talked a lot about goal setting, but how do you go about setting these goals? You know, you could just sit down and kind of come up with it nilly-willy. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's that you want to make sure you write your goals down. but let's dig a little bit deeper. I can actually go into a little bit more detail here, and that is you really want to set SMART goals. SMART is an acronym, you may have heard it, and it stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And if you head on over to our Instagram account, I actually did a little slideshow there that digs into a little bit more detail on each of these letters and what they mean, what the definition is. What I thought I would do in this video is give you some examples. So again, let's use this YouTube example. A specific goal would be to increase YouTube subscribers by a certain number. So that could be 5,000, that could be 500. But we want to be specific. It's YouTube subscribers and it's a certain number. Measurable. I can certainly track the subscribers I gain each month. I can keep track of it at the beginning of the month, take a look at the end of the month and see how much progress we've made. Is it achievable? That's a good question. The 5,000 subscribers, unless we have some videos go viral, probably not so much. But getting to 500 subscribers, that seems like a very achievable goal to me, or increasing it by 500 subscribers. Is it relevant? Yes, it depends on your goal. But for us, this whole rest of the year is really about outreach and getting in front of new people, helping draw more people in, and being able to help them reach their goals, to build their business, to create an online business that not only supports and sustains them and their family, but it does so in a way that doesn't take a whole lot of time and effort. That's really what Tracy and I are all about. That's how we built our business over at Piggy Makes Bank, and we want to teach you how to do the same thing and reach those same goals if your goals align with ours. We're not about working long hours, working super hard. There's a season for that, but in the end, we really thrive on working about 4 to 5 days a week and working about 2 to 3 hours a day. And that is totally doable if you work smart, and you do that by setting SMART goals, of course. So relevant, yes, this is very relevant for us in this at this point in time. And then the last letter is the T in SMART, and that is time bound. And that basically means you want to set yourself a deadline. So for us, that could be gaining 500 subscribers by the end of the summer, or it could be gaining 500 subscribers within the next 6 months, that kind of thing. So I hope that gave you a good idea. I would like to encourage you to create your own SMART goals. If you'd like, create them and leave them as a comment below. If you're stuck at any point in that process, leave a comment as well. We'll be happy to help and talk you through it, give you some suggestions on how you can turn a goal that's maybe a little vague at this point into a SMART goal. Next, let's talk about, now that you have your SMART goals, and hopefully you have written it down and you're looking at it frequently, let's talk about how you can stay committed to your goals. And there's a couple of different things I want to leave you with here. The first is accountability. So by writing it down, you can hold yourself accountable, but there are other ways you can do this as well. If you have a friend, a spouse, a partner, a business partner, colleague, anybody like that, you can tell them about what your goal is. You can also make it public by us or me stating here that I would like to grow our YouTube subscribers by 500 subscribers. That is a form of accountability, because if I don't reach that goal, I gotta fess up to it. Next, you want to set some timelines and some deadlines. I am a horrible procrastinator. Have been since probably since first grade. I was the girl that would start on a project and work on that report the night before it was due, that kind of thing. But it got done, and the reason it got done is because I had that deadline. So I set myself deadlines. I did it this week by telling Tracy and promising her that I would have this video ready to go for her to send in our Wednesday newsletter. Excuse me. So that is a built-in deadline. You can also set some timelines for longer projects, set some milestones and some dates on when you want to accomplish those. That can be really helpful. Next, you want to track. You want a way to track your progress. So for me, that is, I'm going to track two things. The thing that is within my control and the thing that is not within my control. Because at the end of the day, how many YouTube subscribers we get is outside of my control. I cannot force you to hit the subscribe button on the note and the notification bell. But what I can do is get great content out there on topics that are hopefully relevant to you. I can do my homework to make sure the keywords and tags and descriptions are crafted in a way that makes it more likely for you to be able to find the video. And I can decide how many videos and how many YouTube shorts and how many TikToks I get out there on a weekly basis. So I want to track both. I not only want to track the subscribers, but I also want to track the stuff that I can do that will hopefully get me to those subscribers. Another thing that's important when it comes to staying committed to your goals is small wins. So again, breaking it down and celebrating every subscriber, every 10 subscriber, celebrating every comment. Think about it with your goal. What is something that you can celebrate? What are some small wins? Take the time to acknowledge those and use them to drive you to keep going. Then you also want to stay flexible. I might continue this for a couple of weeks, maybe through the end of this month, with the whole strategy of one weekly video with the short content, the blog post, that kind of thing. But if we see that we're not really gaining any traction, we might decide to adjust. So maybe instead of one longer video, we might try 2 or 3 shorter videos. Instead of publishing a video every week, maybe we decide that it's too taxing, it's too much, and we go to a bi-weekly or every 2-week kind of schedule. So there's a lot we can do to change and tweak to help reach our goals. And you can do the same by being flexible and being willing to take a look at what you've done and adjusting. The other thing you want to do, and we'll talk about this more in the next section about overcoming challenges, is to manage distractions. I had to actually shut the door to my office here, turn off the notifications of my phone, and just sit here to make sure I get this done. Take the phone off the hook, whatever you got to do to manage your distractions. In the past, for me, that meant turning off any and all push notifications on email and social media, because it was just distracting me to the point where it was hard to sit down and take the time to do something like write a lengthy blog post, work on a book, or record a long form video. So do whatever you got to do to manage those distractions. And then last but not least, let's get back to the thing that I talked about before, develop routines. So how can you take what you're doing and turn it into routines? That will help tremendously with eliminating decision fatigue, and you will avoid procrastination because you'll sort of get into the habit of doing something. For example, it's not a big deal for most of us to remember to brush our teeth in the morning and before we go to bed. It's a habit. It's something we do on autopilot. How can you create some of the things you want to do on a regular basis? How can you work them into your existing routine? So maybe that means as soon as you grab your cup of coffee and get to your office, you come up with your social media screen or social media content for the day, or the content that you want to create this week. How can you create these routines that will help you stay committed to your goal? Of course, you want to make sure that these routines and habits feed into the goals that you want to reach. So set that goal, get very specific on it, and then work backwards from it to create those routines. So that's how you can stay committed to your goals. Now, before we wrap this up, let's talk a little bit about overcoming challenges. There will be challenges. It'd be nice if everything was smooth and easy. It isn't. And what makes you stand up and above from the crowd is sticking with it and overcoming those challenges. And the first thing you can do, the most important probably, is to know that there will be challenges. Setbacks happen. Don't let them stop you. They're nothing but stumbling blocks, growth opportunities, and learning opportunities. So dust yourself off and keep going. The next, again, is eliminate distractions as much as you can. We already talked about this. Those will always provide a challenge. Do whatever you got to do to overcome them. Take a look at your particular challenge and see what you can do. Do a Google search. Have a discussion with ChatGPT. It's surprisingly innovative with some of the ideas that helps you to overcome your own distractions. At least that's what I have found. Talk to a friend. Talk to a business mentor, a business coach, whatever you need to do to come up with an action plan to eliminate those distractions. Then you also want to balance multiple goals. In an ideal world, we would have one priority, one main goal that we can focus all our time and attention on. And that would be by far the most efficient, most productive way to tackle any sort of goal. In reality, that is just not feasible. We all have multiple parts of our life pulling for our attention. We have bosses, clients, customers who all want a multitude of things. So the best thing you can do is limit the amount of big goals you set for yourself as much as possible. I really don't recommend going to more than 3, but if you can narrow it down to even less than that, even better. And then you want to balance those goals. However that works well for you, you can kind of play around with a few different things. So some people really thrive in the whole idea of working on one goal or towards one goal for a whole entire day. If you can do that, great. Set aside Wednesdays to really make some serious progress on that one main goal that you picked for that particular day. For others, myself included, it might work better to kind of chip away a little bit at each goal and kind of set yourself some milestones and some time blocks. So what works well for me is to take my first chunk of the morning, like maybe 2 hours to work on this project, and then another 2 hours in the afternoon on another project, that kind of thing. So take a look at that, and if you're feeling completely overwhelmed, maybe it's time to put one of those goals on the back burner for a while until you make more progress on the first one, until you establish some habits and routines that kind of put that goal a little bit more on autopilot, and then start picking back up on another goal. There's nothing wrong with that. Next, you really want to try to overcome perfectionism. And it is something, again, that I struggle with quite a bit. It is actually one of the reasons I procrastinated on recording this video. I'm like, I don't know if the lighting is going to be perfect. I don't know if I have the editing chops yet, which, as you can tell, I obviously don't. But at the end of the day, what's important is starting, getting the information out there. And we can't really learn until we get in there and we do the things. And once we step a little bit outside of our comfort zone, that's when we start to learn. So give up on this whole idea of perfectionism. It doesn't have to be perfect. Get it done. Done is better than perfect. And then learn from the experience and get better as you go along. The other thing I wanted to address is we all experience low points. Maybe, for example, this whole YouTube and social media outreach, the growth might go well for a week or 2 or 3, maybe even for a month. But then inevitably there's going to be a low point. A couple of the posts, a couple of the videos are not going to quite hit the mark. People are going to get busy. The algorithm won't smile on us. And it's just not going to work as well as we'd hoped. Well, if there's anything I have learned from my decades of experience being an online entrepreneur, working for myself, it is usually when you're in one of those low points that you're very close to a breakthrough and massive growth. So just manage your expectations, realize that that low point is there, it's going to happen. Push through it, knowing that you will come out on the other end of it better and stronger than before. Along those lines, when you encounter or find yourself in one of those low points, when you are struggling to overcome this whole idea of perfectionism, when you're struggling with distractions or balancing multiple goals, when just the tech isn't working as well as you would have hoped, it is okay to ask for help. Realize that there's nothing wrong with reaching out to somebody, asking for some input, maybe even hiring somebody to help you through a particular issue. We've had these issues with our website, with our shopping cart, with our web server, with graphics, all these kinds of things. These challenges are going to pop up. There's nothing wrong with asking for help if that gets you through to, or gets you a step closer to reaching your goal. And then you also want to reassess and adjust. We just kind of talked about that a little bit in setting time-bound goals, and when we talked about staying flexible. It's always a good idea to pause periodically, whether that's at the end of the day, whether that's once a week, whether that's once a month. It kind of all depends on your goal and your timelines and your deadlines. But make it a point to pause periodically, assess, see how things are going. Are you moving in the right direction? Are you moving as fast as you wanted to? And then deciding if there's something that you want or need to adjust. And there's nothing wrong with trying something different, trying something new, and seeing if that works and if that gets you where you want to go. The last thing I want to leave you with is kind of the one little tip or strategy, call it a hack, that helped me overcome my overwhelm, my decision fatigue, and my procrastination more than anything else. And I call this my top 3. So every single day, ideally at the end of the previous day, more often first thing in the morning, I sit down and I decide on my top 3 tasks for the day. Those are usually directly related to my main priority goal or goals, and they are the 3 things that I will do everything in my power to get done. They won't take up my entire day. Some days I can breeze through all 3 of them in an hour. More often than not, it's a couple of hours worth of work for me. But those are my main priority. Those are the first thing that I work on. Those are the things I work on when my mental energy is at the highest. And these are the things that will move the needle for me, that will get me closer to my income goals, my business goals, my personal growth goals. They are the really important things. Why does this work so well? Number 1, I write them down, so I have them front and center with me at my desk. I look at them throughout the day, and that kind of helps me avoid making decisions that don't support my goals. It also keeps me from getting distracted, because this is where my focus is. This is what I want to work on. They also come in really handy when my day goes off the rails. I am a busy mom, a wife, I have a social life, I have other obligations, and sometimes life happens. I'm also a business owner, and I can't tell you how often something breaks, a metaphorical fire breaks out and something grabs my attention. So when that happens, if I have worked first on my top 3 tasks, if my day goes off the rails by lunchtime or sooner, I know I will have made some progress. Even if I didn't get through all my top 3 tasks by the time the emergency arises and I'm called away from what I wanted to work on, I will have made some progress because that is the first thing I work at. More often than not, when something comes up, be it an emergency or be it something fun, I will have gone through my top 3 tasks. And if I have accomplished that, then I am okay if a girlfriend calls and asks me out to lunch, or if my husband pops his head into my office and asks if I want to ride up into the mountains or head out to the beach. I'm good with that. And, it just really helps with handling the overwhelm that can lead to procrastination and decision fatigue, because I will have made the decision on what are the 3 most important tasks I need to get done. So I hope you found this video valuable. You got something out of it. Remember, there is a link below for the companion blog post, and please give us the thumbs up and subscribe if you enjoyed this content.